Hey guys, I see there's one view at the moment. Appreciate the like. Just gonna give it another couple of seconds and then we will keep going. Um, I have Faith with me who will be coming up soon. We're talking about social skills and how that applies to family, relationships, as in husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, that sort of thing, and work. I know relationships, you can fit that under the whole that is the umbrella of relationships anyway. But we're focusing on social skills. Give us a couple more seconds, and we'll be up soon. I've muted myself. Okay, cool. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. I cannot hear you.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, fine, awesome. Okay, so we will start. Thanks, Faith, for coming on. This is new to me and you in terms of coming live on Twitter. Yeah, we're gonna talk about social, or I should say, social soft skills. Um, why is it important? The For me personally, um, social skills are important because you need them in every area of your life, relationships, work, um, every day. And I would like to say life is about people. If you can't communicate effectively, then you know it's kind of bad, right? I mean, yeah, it's bad. But most people know how to communicate generally, but I do find that some people do lack certain social skills within relationships. So and let's talk about it. Actually, before we do that, what do social skills mean to you, or why do you think it's important?
Everything you said. Skills that help you be social, skills that we are social creatures naturally, even for the introvert that's like, oh, I don't talk to people, or I'm a hermit. I like to keep to myself. You still have to interact. Interaction is indeed being social. Um, there are different levels of that, but I think you summed
Mm,
it up pretty well. So, yeah.
okay. Yeah. Um, and feel free, guys, if you're listening on live, you can comment. I'll put your comments up. Um, so let's get down to it. Let's get down to the juicy part. Um, let's focus on time management. I think time management is so important. I'm going to give an example of work life. So when you go to your job,
Mhm.
or when you go to a meeting, a place that's quite formal, I guess, you have to have some type of time management. Um, if you're going to an interview, you have to be on time. My dad used to say to me, when you get to your going to an interview, try and make sure you get there 30 minutes early so you can prepare. Two, you know where you're going. because when you get to reception, you're going to be like, "Hey, my name's Nathan. I've got an interview with such and such," and then they're going to redirect you to where you need to go for that interview.
Hmm.
So time management is so important, and also it gives you time to prepare. Gives you time to prepare. Um, what about you? Time management? I know I'm focusing on the work life of stuff, but what have you
Hmm.
got? I mean, what does it mean for you?
Yeah, I agree with you from the corporate or your business standpoint. If it's your business or somebody else's business, right? 100%. Because people do say time is money,
Yeah,
but do we waste our money? Probably not, but some people do. But right, it depends on, I guess,
that's a
which
good one.
lens you're looking out of. So when you ask that question, do we waste our money? Okay, use time as money. Do we waste our time? And when you think about it that way, if it's family, or do you waste your time? Do you waste the time you have with family, with others that you care about? And then relationships, do you waste your time with relationships? Do you throw relationships away or do you invest in them? So time, you're right, time is super important. It's kind of like the foundation of everything. But
Right, that's true.
perception of the time is, I think, what moves or doesn't move people. If it's valuable to someone, if someone values time, then they move a certain way. But it's sometimes very clear to see that some people don't value time, you
Why
know?
do you think that is?
So I guess, I mean, if anything, I think we were talking the other day about home training. Everything technically starts at home. It doesn't mean it's somebody's fault that you don't do something, but it does mean that someone has influenced you not doing something. Home training is really the order of the day. And even for, again, even if you missed out when you were younger, because a lot of people will go into their past with that comment.
Mm,
But if you have a home now, you can still be being trained now. If you're 50 years old and there's someone in your home now, home training, being trained at home. Life comes in seasons. So being trained every season, kind of like that self work a lot of people do,
mm.
makes sense to me.
No, yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, time management is very important, and you are right. It does start from home because some people don't value time. They don't know how to manage the time,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we can all relate to um, at some point where we have been late. I don't know if you've heard this saying, but we say in the UK, uh, we have black timing, where you say come for 6 o'clock, people come for 6:30. Black people come for 6:30. So we have to make sure that when we say six, we're really actually ready to start by 6:30. So yeah, time management.
But you know why they say that though, right?
Yeah, because we come late.
But okay, but do you know where that came from though?
No, where they
Okay,
come from.
so but people of color
Mhm.
have been on different time, what do you call it? Time schedule. So like when you look at the globe and we break down our time zones, before life as today as we know it, there was a different life going on. Time was literally
That's where
times
it came
were
from.
different. Yes. And so when we start being introduced to everybody else's time zone, remember we weren't necessarily there, but we are now. When we think of stuff like that, it became a play on, okay, there's something wrong with us. What they did is they like wound up and be like, oh well, we're off. But how are people all over the planet of color off? That doesn't make any sense. If we're all spread out, but we all often have the same habits, obviously there was something there. Obviously that comes from somewhere. So to me,
Okay,
from
thank
what
you.
I've come to gather, it comes from where we come from. For whatever reason, back in the day, that actually worked and it was good and it worked for us. But when we start intermingling, we take on other people's time zones. We start
Mm,
entering other zones that our people don't come from. Then now we're late. CP time, color people's time.
thank
It's a
you.
joke,
I
but
didn't
it's
know
real.
that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay, so
History
yeah,
behind everything.
no, thank you. I mean, my manager used to say every day is a school day, and then it's true.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Um, because every day we are learning. And this is what we're here for today, though. We're here to kind of bounce ideas across to each other,
Yeah,
try and make sense of it. We
Make
want it
makes
to
sense.
make sense. We want it to make sense. Guys, if you have any comments though on social skills in relationships, please drop a comment, like or share, retweet. Um, so yeah, time management. If you don't manage your time, like I said, it can affect certain areas of your relationships. I want to say
Hmm.
relationship because a lot of us have got more than one relationship. You've got your family, mom, dad, brothers and sisters, cousins, aunties, all that type of stuff. You've got your relationships with your colleagues, and if you're not on time, it can affect certain areas. Um, let's focus. Let's keep it on the time management for a little bit. Faith, what? How do you feel time management in a bad way can affect the family?
People, it will, I
How
associate,
can they react? Yeah.
I would take it to the word trust. So trust, people move again in a close circle, which we'll use. I'll assume that family is a close circle.
Hmm.
So in a close circle, you often, what's that word? Communicate with people based on your trust level, and it's kind of a given. If you're close to someone, you'll be more casual. Hey, what's up, Nathan? But if we're more like distant, we're distant cousins, and it's a family reunion, or we come together, it'd be like, hey, Mr. Nathan, because you're my family member, I might be honoring you in a certain way. So when
Hmm.
it comes to time, if Mr. Nathan, if I say you're my cousin, you're always, like you said, you're always late for something. You know, everybody in the family talks about you. I might not have my perception of you, my trust level of you might be mm, tarnished, you know. But if I'm close to you, what's up, Nathan? And you're always late for something, I know you already though. I have a relationship with you between
Mm.
us. And so it may not be a problem to me. If anything, I just adjust my life around your habit because there's that care there. I care for you. You're a bit closer to me. That's how I would think about it.
Yeah.
I trust you more. Even though you have a problem, I still trust you because I'm close with you, you know?
Probably because, can I say, you've gotten used to that person being late, but you understand why that person may always be late.
And even if I don't understand, I accept it. If I accept you because you're in my family, that's a choice. Ultimately, it's not your issue. It's
It's a
my
true.
processing of how I want to receive you. Your family, your blood, right? But do I want to keep bringing that up to you, thinking that something different's going to happen, or do I want to just be like, we use it in hair care, um, time frame, we time. That was the issue. They said if your client is always late and you know she's late, but she pays you every time and she tips you really well. Do you not take her services? Do you say, listen, you're going to be late one more time. I'm not going to schedule you? No, of course not. What you do is you tell her to come 30 minutes early so that she thinks she's going to be, you know what I'm saying? She thinks that she's going to be running behind, but really you set it up so she's on time. I
Can you
adjust
s-
to her.
can you still use that same concept or example though for family? I think
I would.
I think I've just said it though in a way, but I mean, you know,
If
I've
you
used
have
it before.
patience, yeah, you can use it for family if you're a patient person. But if you're no nonsense and you're like, listen, you family, but you need to get it together. If you're that type of person, then no.
Is there a line though? Because let's say you need someone to wake up at a certain time to receive a package that you've
Okay.
ordered and they're not up. Is that something you always keep accepting? Because what I'm trying to get it at
Mm,
is that something that can affect
yes.
you in a negative way? Even though you accept them coming to your birthday late, you may not accept their time
Handling
management
your
when it comes
business.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes to picking up your stuff. So can
That's
you
that's the judgment call we get to make though, right?
what
Because
would you
we may or may not be able to change that person, but we get to choose as a family member how important is this person to me? Do I want to invest my time to be
but
strategic?
trust, right? Like
Exactly, exactly.
trusting with it.
But can they trust you? But see, it's always two-way though. Can
Why?
the person with the problem, with the time management problem in the family, trust you to
What do you mean?
acknowledge them for who they are? And meaning,
As a late person?
no, no, no. So let's say I'm the person who's late. Can I trust you as my family member though to work around me and try your very best because you care for me?
When
Trust.
I've ordered from Amazon, they've given me
No,
they
listen.
told me
No,
between one
listen,
and
listen,
three
listen, listen,
o'clock.
listen. No, no, no. Here's the example. I know I'll be long-winded, but here's the example. Can I
Mm,
trust you? Okay, let's say we living in the same, I don't know, building, or right. Um, can I trust you? Okay, you want to trust me, but you know I have trust issues. You know I have time management issues. This is on the table. This is the point of the topic, right? But since communication is always two-way, unless you're talking to
right.
yourself or a wall,
Mhm.
can I also trust you to remember my issues and therefore
Right. Because if I give
be a
you
little bit
something
more
that you
strategic
can't
when
really,
how you talk to me. So you tell
right.
me to pick it up 30 or hour early because you know I'm going to be late. Again, strategy for the provider, or like a hairstylist for that family member. But that, again, how much do you care about this family member? Because you're only going to do it if you care. If you don't
Right.
care, you're not going to do it.
That's really cool what you said.
Technically.
But then it also takes you to manage your time too, to manage somebody else, help manage their time, to be home, to pick up your parcel. Jeez, this is so
It's a whole fire.
wow.
It's a whole fire.
But
Life is
this
not free.
shows, but this shows how time management is so important.
So
And you're right
important.
though, it does start from home. So,
Mhm.
okay, cool. What about communication? I know we've kind of gone in it. I mean, to me, communication is communicating effectively to the point where uh, both parties know what they are required to do in order to move forward in um, the work meeting that has just taken place, or within um, a family setting. There could have been a family meeting and there could have been some sort of a disagreement. But because of the communication, I like to call it effective communication. Um,
Mhm.
the matter has been settled because of the effective communication, or you could say dialogue. But that's what I get. What is communication for you? I guess. What does it look like to you?
It could look a lot of different ways because you got verbal and nonverbal communication. And it always does stem from one's, not, I won't say home training, but one's personality, what
Okay.
people bring forth. So if
Okay.
they're passionate, like I like to talk, and my mom used to have me practice my spelling words. So speaking is going to be normal for me. But if I have to write you a let you're a writer, you're a person that likes to read, you always want me to write notes of everything we talk about because you work better off a piece of paper. We might get along good when we're talking, but I'm not gonna remember to do all that. I'm gonna tell you right now because it's in, you know what I'm saying, it's fresh on my mind. So I
Mhm.
guess it could look various ways depending on the situation.
And you're basically saying you're focused on the family setting, right? Okay, cool. Let's take it to let's take it to relationships, as in
Mhm.
girlfriend, boyfriend, moving on, dating with intention, leading on to marriage. I'll start. I think what does communication look like in that setting? Um, well, I have something that I usually say, and I've been saying it for a couple of weeks. Is communication in relationships go through three phases. This is what I call it: harmony, disharmony, and repair. Harmony, disharmony, repair.
He's getting deep, y'all. He's getting deep.
It's it's a cycle. Harmony,
It
but
is. Yeah.
when you get disharmony, that's where the communication comes in. But let's go back. There's even communication and harmony, because in order to have harmony, there has to be communication going on in order to have harmony, right? Harmony, disharmony. Okay, something has happened within the communication that has caused a disharmony, but you still got communication in order to do the repair. But then you go back to the third part, which is harmony. So communication for me is an all-round circle cycle of harmony, disharmony, and repair. But again, that effective communication that I was talking about. But what does that practically look like? So that could look like someone could say to me, my wife could say to me, Nathan, can you get the milk this morning? I could say, and it's still me communicating, I could say, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to get that now. And that my reaction could start an argument, or a little bit of a frustration just because of the way that I answered, where it and that could cause the disharmony.
Mhm.
But how I could pull it is, for example, it's early at the moment. What I'll do is, if it's okay with you, I'll get it in about 2 hours. When do you want to kind of have breakfast around? You know, and that causes s- harmony. That's still communication though, because you can have a communication that's positive and not so positive. Still
Mhm.
communication. That's why I say
Mhm.
harmony, disharmony, and repair. But that was a long way of putting it, I think. What about you?
That made sense though. Examples are always better, right? Because they make it make sense.
Right.
No, everything you said made sense. When I was listening to your example, if anything, I hear the disharmony in the thought. So, like you said, Nathan, can you go get the milk this morning? As soon as your brain or your words say no, or as soon as there's some sort of resistance, we have disharmony, even if it's not spoken, right?
Right.
The processing is now, wait, there's some sort of even if it's far, far away in your head, right? So, like you said, though, the second example you gave, you brought it all together by saying where you are in real time, it's it's a bit early. You're not combating anything. You're saying what it actually is that each person you can both identify. It's
Right.
too early. But then you come with a thought, right? Not a request. Well, you did make a request, but not a demand, not a jab, and not resistance. You made a request and said, how about I go in 2 hours? Or maybe I could do that in 2 hours. So you're putting it out there a better way possibly, and then following up with a
Suggestion.
question, so that, which is ultimately, this is called active listening. You're being fully present, you're
Right.
acknowledging where you
Part
are,
of
where you want
effective
to go.
communication as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're bringing it together and presenting it and going, here, what do you think about this? Thought that
Right.
was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, and it goes to effective communication. And what is effective communication? What is in that? I mean, yeah, active listening. Um, um, your body language as well can give off communication too.
Nonverbal, yeah. Hmm.
That can be positive or negative. I was listening to someone on YouTube break down how when a police is interrogating somebody, not like how you see in the movies, but they're questioning somebody in a police station. When, for example, a person is so nervous but they're acting so calm, if they take their jacket off and pull it around their chair, it means that they feel hot and they're really trying to calm down because they feel nervous, anxious of the situation that they're in. They know that they've been caught. So body language can can honestly say a lot. Um, for
It
example,
okay.
for example,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, sure, I'm gonna get the milk, but I roll my eyes, for example. Then, for example, my wife could say, "Why did you have to roll your eyes like that? I'm only asking if you can." And I could say, "But I said, yeah, I'll go and get it."
Mhm.
But it's my actions, and I've heard it. I've heard people a lot say relationships. Um, Sometimes it's not what you say; it's how you say it. That can, you
Yeah.
know. And again, it goes to your point because it does start from here. It does start from here. So
But this goes back to the point we made. I don't remember what question you asked me before, though, but the processing of the person who is quote unquote doing wrong, too. It's two-way. So, yes, the person's body language, play devil's advocate with each point. Yes, the person's body language could be off or negative, right? Or show signs of what you say, disharmony. But
yeah,
we have to always remember that they're responding because they're responding. They didn't start the conversation. They're not the initiate. They're a responder. So we have to look at, like you said, what was asked. Now, as simple as, can you get the milk today? We don't know the inside story about that, right? You could have just got milk yesterday. You could have got milk last time and the milk went bad. There could be a million reasons why you're responding the way you respond. So this goes back to what I said about knowing who you're talking to, which again is a part of active listening though. If you don't know who you're talking to, I could sit here and watch your responses and do all this, go on a whole road trip tangent in my mind about your body language, but it's not really necessary at the end of the day
If
because
I know you, okay. So
I
what you're
don't know you
saying
like
is,
that, you know? So who's at error? Is it your body language? Are you the one who's messed up, or is it me doing the most because of something I went through? Bringing this forward to our conversation.
well, let's move it to the next point then, because this actually works and it molds in, is adaptability. Because I
Yeah.
like I like what you said, because um this does come into communication too.
Yes.
But if you know the person well enough, this goes to the time management. Adaptability too goes into time management. But if you know the person well enough, their tone sometimes won't put you off. Their body language won't put you off, because
Mhm.
you have, when you know someone, you have already calculated in your mind when you
Yes.
ask this question how they're going to respond, and how
Yes.
they are going to respond. I'm going to be alert to that, so I can counter react that in a positive way, so we stay on harmony, and we don't have to go. It's not harmony. What did I say now? Harmony, disharmony, repair. It stays on the harmony part. So
Right. Mhm.
adaptability is so important. So then I'll take it back a bit. I'm gonna give an example of when a part of my life where I've had to adapt to something. Um, at work, for example. So recently, I had to do a meeting. I was just asked to, can you do a presentation on this? It was on the spot. I had to adapt and think, okay, because he wanted me to do a presentation on PowerPoint, and I haven't used PowerPoint in years. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's taking me back into school, college. But I had to adapt. So I was like, okay, but I'm on stereo on all the time. So it's just putting my words on paper in a way.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I was just talking to the rest. So I had to adapt and think quick. I had to adapt to my environment, but in my own way. As long as I deliver the presentation and deliver what I have to deliver effectively, it doesn't really matter. As long as I can adapt. And even in that comes into time management and communication.
Mhm.
Um, so then how can you adapt with family? And I'm going going back to what you said. Sometimes really you have to hold your patience with family, because you know them, and under the umbrella of family comes a lot of stuff under that, but it's years of experience that comes to my mind. Because with family, I feel like that's the type of people you have years experience with, and that's family. And you should have an idea of how to communicate and how to adapt to certain situations when they arise. So, for example, if you know that, someone's passed away in the family, and you know this person's going to start drinking when they come to your house, because this is what half of the family does, it's probably best, as a Christian, for example, that you don't start pulling out scriptures. You just leave them,
Okay.
you know, but you manage them differently, and
Mhm.
understand that actually this person is going through a emotional time.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I agree. 100%.
Can you give a time where you've been or have adapted to something?
Where I have positively adapted to something.
Yeah, or negatively, actually.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I guess it would be work, and for me, like in our family, our work kind of always is still familiar. We're helping each other out in some way, which I
Mm,
think is the smartest way to work, to be honest.
okay.
Um, so like Adaptability. Well, no, I won't use something that's convoluted. I'll just stick to your example, like with work. So there was a situation where I'm a professional. I'm a licensed professional. I'm
Mhm.
working in a professional space that I was hired into. But when I was hired, before I was hired, I was also a professional. And for some reason, some random time, something's presented to me that is it's an unprofessional response to a regular situation, a situation we as professionals go through every day. But for whatever reason, the crew of people at one of my jobs just was not on point. They were all out of pocket. And what it did is I observed other people's responses, like the public's response. And everybody was like, and it's like the crew didn't understand that they were still impressed, had an impression on the public. There are people here to do business, right? So
Mhm.
I'm trying to hold it together like this is unprofessional. What are we doing? Right? This is not how I work. So in that moment I was not um adaptable. There was no adaptability, um positive adaptability on technically on their end. But what I did is I removed myself from that situation. I left that situation as the professional walked out. I said, "Look, this isn't how I get down. I was a professional before I knew y'all. I'm a professional. I'm gonna be professional when I leave you." So, so that was like an example I could think of work related, where again, it always comes back to us though, how we choose to respond to whatever situation it is with whoever. We can sit there amongst it and try, like you said, try to repair it in real time, or depending on our familiarity with the other party, say, no, 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 no. Okay, I know how y'all get down, and this is not what I'm into, and then remove ourselves. Ultimately, to find harmony somewhere else. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because there's too much disharmony present. So sometimes stuff is repairable and sometimes it's not, especially with regarding work in the workplace. We come across situations all the time that are tricky, but we don't always have to stay there. And a lot of people have this is my opinion, right? But I know there are a lot of people out there who probably would listen and say, well, I've been here for 20 years and I just suck it up. But that's a choice though. We get to choose unless somebody forces you to go to work. Or
What's the outcome in that though? Because
It's
because
about
I
your
hear.
peace at the end of the day. If you can't trust the people you work with to repair it, if you can't trust them to invest in you to do whatever needs to be done to repair it, then you gotta look at yourself and go, but why am I over investing into y'all when I know that you're not gonna invest in me? That's a choice we get to make. So if my peace comes with, if I say, listen, the reason why I'm so good at my job is because I'm a peaceful person or because I trust my crew. As soon as you have, like I remember I told you about processing, as soon as you
Mm.
get that in your head, you get to say, okay, I don't like the way this feels. I don't like this combativeness, and leave. Even if it's just for a moment, you can return to it later. Or you could stay there in real time and say, I've got to repair this. I've got to repair this now. Let's come to a consensus. What do
Sorry,
you
choked.
think?
Well,
Does that make sense?
it did, but why
At least
why leave? Why leave? My wife just came in and she's distracting me.
that's all right.
Just just keep it in the thing for me. Yeah. Why leave? Now I'm trying to get something out of you. Why leave and then come back after? Because there's something you're trying to do in that to come back to. I'm trying to get something out.
Okay. It depends on the person. Like I said, no, people are not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
But for some of those of us who are professional, I think you and I talked about this before, like the standards, depending on what we do find important and what we do value. If your job is important and your reputation is important and you've worked hard to get this, then you're not going to settle. So to remove yourself it's a non-verbal reaction. Now of course you can come with words too and go, I'm not going to stay here with this. But if let's say you don't want to say the wrong thing, so you just leave. As a professional, from a professional standard, and I'm in health, I'm in wellness, health and wellness. So our thing is Hippocratic Oath, which is do no harm. So I can't put myself in a position, no matter how emotional I am, to respond emotionally. What I'll do is make sure that there's some sort of, I'm not breaking any rules that I've agreed to. And then ultimately like I said, if I was one way before I entered, I'm good. But I know that's not everybody's situation. So not everybody should leave because some people this is their bread and butter and they don't have another way. I get that. But for those of us that you walk in with your, with your hat on, you might take it off to work, but when you leave, you put your hat back on. That's kind of how I was raised and what I believe, especially as females in 2022. You don't necessarily want to leave out weaker than you came in. No matter what happens, you
I'm
walk away
still,
with your dignity,
still
so to
trying to
speak.
get out something though.
Oh, what are you trying to get out?
Why do some people in an argument or a disagreement in work,
Okay.
why may it be beneficial for them to leave and then come back?
Because
And
they
then
have time to process or give, maybe they've already spoken their piece and said or done whatever they need to do and there's nothing more they can do and they have to wait for someone else. They don't have to, but they choose to wait on someone else's response. I think that's probably what it would be. Especially if you're, let's say, someone's higher than you, somebody can make a judgment call who's on a higher position than you. You know that you kind of have to wait. There's nothing more you can do after you speak your piece. But you might not want to get fired either, so you're just kind of holding out, right? Hoping and praying or hoping and wishing, like some people say.
okay, you're on it, right?
Eh,
Okay.
we-
Progress.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stick to the work environment for now. And I'm gonna go to my next well, before I go to my next point. Progress is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. That's what I saw in the example that you gave about leaving and then coming back. There was still a process. It may be the reason why you left was to cool off and come back with a progress of okay, now I'm back. I know what I've said is what I said, but I still have a sense of progress. The
For many people,
communication
yes. For many people,
for
yes.
many people. Now, the time management might be off. I need a drink. My throat's getting dry. The time management might be great. The communication might be great. This is kind of like adaptability.
Hmm.
But when that person came back into the room, I see it as problem solving. And a part of soft skills are problem solving. Can we solve problems?
Can we solve it? Is it
Is
salvageable?
it solve? Is it
That
solve? Is it see
part. It's not
when
always
when
salvageable.
you say salvage?
Sorry, it's a big word. Is it solvable? Let's just use solve.
Okay, salvage. Now, when we look into the words, what does salvage mean? Salvage. I won't say that.
I'm about to look it up.
Salvage. In my mind, before I look at it, means to bring back or to restore it back to its original state, or to gather it up together. So you salvaged it, you saved it. But I'm like,
Rescue, save, recover.
right, and I haven't even looked it up yet. I feel like that's different from problem solving.
Not from the standpoint that you gave regarding harmony, disharmony, and repair.
No, I'm
Because
not talking about that.
okay, cool. Yes, I
Because
agree.
I'm still talking about the business part. Because even though
Gotcha.
I can be great at problem solving in the workplace, it doesn't mean though that I've salvaged or recovered or saved the loss that we've made. We've just solved a problem and we can move on from it.
Hmm.
But I'll let you get to your point about the salvage thing.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The two words are different. And regarding the workplace, it's not the same thing. For me, for that example, because it's the only example, I don't really have a lot of bad examples, but that was one that stuck out in my head.
Hmm.
For me, in my situation, I left. I left and I did not return. I was scheduled to return. But when you said, why do some people come back? And I said, well, sometimes you have to wait for the higher up to respond. If you know what the law is, let's just be blunt as professionals, and you state whatever the law is, because you find yourself in a debacle or predicament, right?
Hmm.
Of any level, and you state the truth that you've agreed to. If that's not well received in real time, this is the type of person I am. If I get pushback from the truth, because I'm always preaching truth to power, if somebody
You are.
pushes back from the truth, right, that's a red sign. That's a red flag to me, no matter how dedicated I am, no matter how much I want progress. I'm not even gonna do backflips trying to give you time to figure it out. I'm gonna be like, no, 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 no. You hear the truth, but if you can't yield to it, even if you're above me, then now I'm able to make this decision on my own. Something is being revealed to me that you're not necessarily as committed as I am, not in the same respect. I'm coming. Remember, you and I talked about organic versus strategic. You can be
Oh,
organic in your lifestyle, in your work lifestyle, in your work relationship, in your romantic relationship, in your familiar relationship, or you can be what we talked about earlier, strategic. You know that person is late to come get to his hair appointment every 2 weeks. You know that family member likes to drink, like you said, every time shit hits the fan.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we get to choose though how we want to respond. And so I'm only really going to pick strategy if like we were saying, if there's some sort of red flag in front of me. There's no judgment, but I'm going to be a bit strategic because I probably don't want to become too emotional. I want to allow logic to guide me, especially in the workplace. Remember, we're talking about work. So a lot of people in the workplace get emotional and they make decisions off of emotion, and that's not a good thing. It rarely is, you know. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
No, I mean you've got opinions and you've got facts for most people, and that they can relate to. I mean, I call it a fact, yeah, and I can definitely relate to that. Um, Problem solving in a relationship. Well,
Hmm.
I think I've kind of said it. Goes back to the milk example that I gave.
Okay.
How I would resolve that is not getting into. See, even though you said if you know the person, sometimes the reaction won't put you off. Sometimes, though, they can give a disrespectful response. Sometimes anybody can do that in a relationship.
True.
But the problem solving is how you react to it, how you respond.
Hmm.
How do you defuse the situation? And how do you put out the fire? And I've heard people say this a lot. If two people in the relationship are the fire, you're going to get the explosion. If
Uh-oh.
if you mix, if there's a fire and someone's using water to pull it out, you'll get smoke and maybe some other stuff. But you will get water putting out the fire. Um,
Mhm.
so for me, that's problem solving. What else can I think of? Problem solving. Um, hmm, Problem solving. Um, Anything that you have sorted out within your family or your relationship, and you have corrected the misunderstanding, and you've put it straight. That is solving the problem. Can you relate to that or agree with that? Do you think, or is there anything that you would say differently, or
Say the last one again.
so? Is there anything you would say or do differently?
Mm. No, I understood your points that you made. Not really. It would just be priority in my mind. What is there really a problem?
Oh,
Is there even a problem there? Because what we bring to the table in a relationship often is you and I talked about this in the past, and there are many podcasts on this from other people as well. What's your history? What's your history? So, like when you go to buy a car, you say, "Show me the Carfax." You need to know what that car's been through before you start your own relationship with the car. So it's like that in relationships. No matter if people are together for 20, 50 years, when they get to that hump and they go, "We need to separate." Who's If you put both people down in a quiet room, like you said about interrogation, separately, and ask them, "What's the problem? What's the problem here?" Just because I don't know, maybe they're counseling. I bet you're gonna get different problems from different people, and ultimately, that therapist is gonna be like, she's gonna bring them together, or he is gonna bring them together and go, "So, Is there really a problem? Right? Because she wants to bring to their attention, is this just your thoughts? Is this something that bothers you? Or is it really a problem where, like, we could use the work situation? You can look at your stats and your income. How are we losing money? It's obvious there's a problem. You could look at family and go, um, are they coming to the funeral or are they staying away? Somebody has died, everybody else is here, but is there really a problem? But when you get into relationships though, because usually that's kind of quieter, low key, right? Everybody and their mama doesn't really know what's going on. Both of those parties really do need to, most of the time, this is what I've come to learn. Sometimes look at each other and go, but babe, is there really a problem though? And they might feel weird asking that significant other that
You
question, but by
see, I
asking
mean that's
it,
good to say that, but some people may say, well, it's very typical to say, is there a problem? When actually maybe there could be.
but what's the problem with asking though? That's how I'm going to get to know, is there really a problem? Because if that person can't answer quickly, again, red flag. Because okay, well, if there is
How
a
do you
problem,
change that?
let me know what it is.
Sometimes it's the tone. Maybe maybe the way you've answered it or set up how you said the question, is there really a problem though? How could you change that though? To really get to to
Well,
communication,
hopefully, if they're
that
in a relationship,
adaptability.
they can speak each other's language already. If they're
I
still
mean,
trying to
I mean,
decipher
you would
tone
that, but
after being together,
in the first year of marriage for most people, it's difficult.
I mean, yeah, you're
It's
right.
I mean, and this is where communication is so important. Again, we will go back
Mhm.
up a little bit.
Yes.
Communication
Mhm.
is so important because you have to learn to. My dad calls it basing the bounds. That's what my dad calls it. Again, though, but that goes down to adaptability. Can you change your words up significantly sometimes for your partner?
Sure. Yeah.
Because everybody has their seasons
That's
of, hey,
strategy. That's strategy.
yeah, strategy. Can you strategize? So when you said, what did you say again?
Is there really a problem though?
Yeah, when you said, is there really a problem? How can we say that differently? Is there really a problem though? Let's see if I can change that. Okay, I've heard what you said, but is that really an issue for you? Is it currently still an issue? Is it still an issue for you? Is it because it's how you say? Because if you just say, and again, it depends on the tone. It is that really a problem for you though? Versus,
But is that
I,
really a problem though? Like lower, yeah. I see
yeah,
what
it's like, is that really a problem though? And then from someone else saying, I just want to check though, is this still an issue? Sometimes problem, for some reason in my mind, the problem could be a trigger point.
okay, but that
Is that really a problem? Versus, is this still an
that's
issue?
funny.
So sometimes, oh wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're gonna have good points though. Hmm.
Problem, issue. So
So
sometimes,
that's word association. And where does
word
word
association.
association come from?
I
It
don't know.
comes from what you've learned. So that's where the question of,
From
is this
home.
really a problem, comes, is really actually the, I hear what you're saying, but that really is the deep question, because it goes into, like you said, why is this a problem? How does this make you feel? But what happens in that moment is you have to be ready. In my, this is what I would tell somebody in a relationship if this was a real situation. The person who asked that question, if they change it the way you said it, has to be ready to counsel, because you can't ask a question about a problem and not have a solution. So if you're really ready to dig and this person tell you why they're bothered. Yes, this is current. Well, no, this isn't current anymore. It was yesterday, but then I got over. You got to be ready to listen to all of that. And then a lot of times in relationships, depending on the speed of your life as a couple, you
Mm-hmm.
might just need an answer. Is
Right.
this a problem? Yes or no?
Is
Because
this really a
now I
problem?
can know to go to
And
the bank
this is
and move
why,
that money
and
and buy you
right,
another thing.
and this is why relationships, intentional relationships, you have to be careful when you get into. Not be careful, but this is a lot of stuff to really think about. I
Yes.
mean, when you said word association, I didn't know that
Yes.
was a word, and I put it in there, and it is, and I'm looking at the description, and it's so. If you're not big on words,
Mhm.
then you wouldn't get the meaning.
Okay. What'd you find?
Word association, bear with me, guys, for those who are listening, the spontaneous and unrelative production of other words in response to a given word, as a game, a prompt to create through or memory or a technique in evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Spontaneous association with a given word, which means it's not really, it doesn't necessarily mean it's even related. And that's where it has to do with memory and what you've been taught. But see, that's why I said the person who asked it the way you said it has to be ready to counsel. You got to be ready to hear this story out because there's a story coming. They're not going to give you a straight answer because you're really trying to be nice about it. But if you don't really want to go down therapy, play that role with your partner because maybe you're busy, maybe you really, you've had a long talk with them already. You just want to
Yeah.
know how they feel today. Like, I like how you said, ask it, is it current though? I like that part. How you said you could ask, is this a current issue now? I like that because that's fair. You're checking in today. You're not
Mm,
trying to hold them to yesterday's answer. You're trying to give them a new
right.
opportunity. I like that. That was cool.
Because and I picked this up today and I had to write it down. But sometimes what we say can be passive aggressive.
True.
Communication is important in relationships to a point where some people even forget or don't know how to say sorry.
Mm.
So you might get someone that says, I'm sorry you felt that way, which is kind of deflect, which is, well, it almost gives a need to be right feeling,
Hmm.
right? I'm sorry you felt that way. Why can't
You just be
you
sorry.
just say sorry? Because he or she is saying that what you said actually pricked me or uh, caused some sort of harm to me. Why can't you just admit that that hurt me? Admit what I'm saying. Why can't you just say sorry? Why is it such a big thing? Why can't you adapt? Why can't you problem solve this?
But there's two answers, I think, to that last question based off of the sorry example you gave. One is they're not in a position to fully, to clearly, which means transparency, apologize. I'm gonna break that down in a second. Or the second part could be that they do not, they really are not sorry. So there's two reasons why somebody wouldn't say it. The first one about being in a position means that their actions, maybe that they know their actions haven't changed yet, so they don't want to put this out and then you judge them later. They already know you. Remember, strategy. So even in their answering, they don't want to lead you astray only for you to throw it back in their face later. A lot of times this is what happens when we apologize to people. They say, but you apologized last time, you said that last year, but you're still doing the same thing. Isn't that how we respond a lot of times when you see that there is not quote unquote progress? So a lot of men and women will try to go ahead and safeguard themselves by not apologizing to you. The
But
second part is
there's
not being sorry.
there's ways in my mind that you can safely apologize and put yourself in a situation where if they bring it up, you can uh say safeguard yourself, but let's use it. So for
Mhm.
example, I said, I'm sorry you felt that way. You could say, look, um, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. What I will do though is try better next time. I will try better. I will try
That's fair.
means that it's not a 100% definite that it's going to be over by night, but I will try. You mean I will try? It said, okay, it's putting hope on that a little bit.
Right, right.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I will try and I hope through time things will get better. Remember, harmony, disharmony, repair. And the thing about relationships and work life relationships is you can't always expect someone to get better overnight.
That part.
You can expect a certain amount of tweaks and maybe improvements, but you didn't go with that company because they were perfect. You didn't get with him or her because they were perfect. You got with that person because there is work to be done. You there is a this is really deep. You've got
Okay.
you got the you got the you got the time management, that the
Mhm.
communication, adaptability, problem solving, I'm not even done yet. But the next part I was going to get to, which goes to my next point,
Mhm.
is teamwork.
You had a really good point that led you into teamwork when you said, but you didn't, you got with that person because there's work to be done. Now, that part regarding relationships is the order. I said something else was the order of the day earlier, but I'm gonna retract my statement and throw it on this part, what you just said. Why are you in that relationship though? Because not everybody comes into that relationship because they want to do work. A lot of us only gonna get, we don't want to do, we really didn't sign up for all this work until we didn't know it was gonna be this way until we got into it. This
Right.
is a part of the human experience, right? But like you said, it becomes a decision of what you're going into now. Teamwork. Do you want to be a team? Are you both still in a position to be a team? Has one person fallen so low that they are no longer technically a part of this team? Like we have all these
Salvage.
different variables exactly that that would lead to that quote unquote repair piece. And then we get to say, is it salvageable or not? But what do you think
For
about the
sure.
teamwork? How does the teamwork go into that point?
I mean, yeah, because you don't want to be just left on disharmony.
Mhm.
Teamwork does literally mean harmony, disharmony, repair. There's always a job to be done.
True. But
There's
see,
a
don't okay, but do you think that more people should say what you just said though? Like just in general, when we talk about relationships, instead of talking about all this good stuff and how nice it is, and he got you, he upgraded your ring, and y'all went on a vacation, and should we just be talking about the work that needs to be done so that way when our friends or our family members go through it, they're already ready because you've been talking about it. It's not so such
yeah.
a taboo moment.
I think there's a false dream that's been put out there that you're going to get the fairy tale kind of situation, and
Yes.
there's no work to be done whatsoever. Now, really, when you really think about it,
Feel good work, anyways. Work
hmm,
you want to do.
yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, again, you got to think about, is it work you want to do? Because
Mhm.
you can be working on your relationship, and it could, in a sense, be your type of a fairy tale kind of relationship
Mhm.
because you got the teamwork. You know, again, though, it's how you deal with it, because work doesn't have to be work in terms of, oh, this is stressful. Every day I have to do this when I get up. No,
Right.
you know, a relationship is fun. I don't want to dampen anybody's perception when I
Yeah.
say there's work though that needs to be done. There is work. It's fun work, but remember that the reality of relationships, of
Right.
any type of relationship, you got to be realistic.
That's well put. Yeah.
You can't stay on your honeymoon for years. You have to get back to work after a couple of weeks. Then you got to think about, okay, I'm working, I'm in this marriage. What's the next step now? Do we plan for kids, or do we save up for a house? What needs to be done? There should actively be a plan. In work, they call it a mission statement. What is your mission statement? What's your beginning and end? And I think in every
Mm.
relationship, when it comes, and I know we'll talk about soft skills. These soft skills we've spoken about so far, we've talked about five. What's your beginning and end? What is your end goal? What have your own mission statement about your relationships?
I like it. That sounds solid.
For example, mission statement brand, Nike, just do it. What is, what do you, yeah, what's your mission statement in your relationship, in your marriage? Is there something that you constantly say? We're not going to go to bed arguing. We're not going to sleep with a disagreement. We always sort it out. Is that something that you're always going to say in your relationship? When you're at work, are you going to say, I'm always going to try and communicate more with my colleagues to make sure that we have a good working life to the best as we can?
Mhm.
And I think that, we're actually, without even realizing it, that is teamwork. I guess I've just said it.
Mhm.
That is teamwork.
Mhm.
Then, though, my next point, Number six is creativity. Every business needs to come up with a new way to get the cash in.
Mm-hmm.
How can we be creative at the moment? For example, um, I'll take it to probably what most men can relate to, and some women, some ladies. Um, Video games. Um, there's a certain game actually. My friend Aaron are playing. I just found out actually they recruited younger people to have a fresher mindset of what the audience are looking for. So what they're trying to basically do is have a newer perspective of, or need a fresher creativity that the younger people could potentially bring that people in their 50s and 60s cannot bring because they're set on the older PlayStation 1 type style games.
Mm-hmm.
Now our generation is set on open world games. Open world now we've got. How can they make things look better, sound better? Uh, the freedom of the games. The companies will bring in new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of relationships, though, you often hear people say, and you've heard this on stereo. People always say, "Oh, after a while, marriage gets dry. Marriage gets this and that." Where's the creativity, though?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You got two whole sides of your brain.
Yeah. Where's the creativity? Does it mean you have to use your money all the time? But be realistic, because some people think or assume
Assume most assumptions are
that
wrong.
that yeah, that there is a lifestyle that comes with marriage that people automatically think they're going to get. Lifestyle.
Mm.
I'm going to be with a CEO. Okay, fine. What's be realistic though. If I'm with somebody, if you're with somebody that's always working 12 hours a day, okay, the money's coming through. What is it going to look like regarding both of y'all's? I'm talking American now. I say y'all's. Um,
Yeah.
y'all's time together, and what will your time management look like? Communication, adaptability, problem solving, and teamwork. What would that all look like versus 9 to 5? But again, you have to be good at all those stuff though. Then the creativity comes in, because I'm not saying it's not possible, but
Right,
now
right.
you have to be very creative in your relationship, especially if you're working more than the average person. How does that look and play out? And that's why I say, yeah, like what we both agree with, there is work to be done in in relationships, because you've got a lot of
Mhm.
things to think about.
Always. But
You got
this
a lot of
is
you got
this,
yeah
this is a part of life though. And it
yeah.
should
It's
be creativity should be being used in every season of life
every aspect of it,
because
because
that's the way the brain works. But the question then becomes for me as an observer, a listener, a participant, or the significant other to someone else, right? Why am I not using my brain, the creative part of my brain daily or seasonally? Is that somebody else's fault, or is it up to me? Like you just said, the marriage is dry or something. But are you becoming dry upstairs, or is it your partner's fault? Like who's your thinking should still be there. If you were thinking you worked hard as hell to bag her, so to speak, or to get her right and get her to say yes to you, and then y'all become an item. But why you not working that hard anymore? Same thing for some women. You work hard to get that man, but then once you get him, it's like, oh well, all of this is drama, all this that. Well, you need to work just as hard as you put in the beginning. Why would you think, like you said, about the assumption of what it's supposed to be in the
well,
future?
well,
Why would you
uh,
assume that this is going to maintain for all of eternity? This is not heaven. This is not how this works.
mm. I mean, I'm going back to what you said, but which is true. I mean, is it the other person's fault? Because why isn't that other person thinking creativity either? It's not an excuse, but someone sent me Mimi. Shout out to Mimi. She sent me a video link today on
Mhm.
Instagram about something that tends to happen is that in relationships, there's always opposites. Some people, you got the boring person, kind of, but they kind of suit you or
Balance you out.
balance you out. And you
Yeah.
got the hyper person, but they both complement each other.
Okay.
Someone's the fire, someone's the water. You've had the yin and yang kind of scenario, example. Um,
I like what you said. Okay, when you were talking about work, relationships, you have to work at relationships. I
you
think that
do.
that's true. But one word that I think, like, because we were talking about words earlier, one way to perceive it slightly different is, excuse me, you said relationships take work. But one way to, like you said about the way I asked that question earlier, you were like, but why you have to ask it like that? You could say, we have to work at relationships. So the point becomes that it takes pressure off of us. How am I trying to, okay, let me lay it out.
I get what you say. It takes the pressure off the individuals, but it
Puts it on
focuses
the
it on,
relationship.
and this is where the teamwork comes in. We're going up a bit, but that is a part of creativity because again, you're using your words, you're using your word association skills, social skills to really
Mm-hmm.
effective communicate. Okay, harmony, disharmony, repair. You're keeping into the harmony part, and
Mm-hmm.
you're really being creative, and you're really helping to save work on your relationship.
Because this, where is the, what is the most important word? Work or relationship? Hopefully it's
Work.
relationship. Hopefully
Well,
it's
oh,
relationship. Because if we
why?
can hang our hat on relationship, then I could say we have to work at it. We have to work at the relationship.
When you
But if
when
the
you
main
say
word is
work,
work, then it would be, you have to put, relationships take work. So I'm always striving for work. I'm always, like you said, that can be tiring. But if I turn that phrase a little bit to say relationships, which is what I want at the end of the day, that's what I ask for, that's what I pray for, that's what I've got.
right? And again, word association. What can we use actually? Because you got a good point.
Okay.
Because probably it's best not to say relationships take work; they take time. That gives room for patience.
Mhm.
Most I've had people say, "I hope my husband, my wife doesn't get tired of me
Mm.
or lose patience." If we
Mhm.
uh,
That's real.
if we spoke more, this is really good because what we're doing actually is allowing people to know how to really communicate with soft skills and how we can turn it into our favor and really
Exactly.
communicate. So wow, my head is exploding. Hang on a second. So wow, hang on a second. Bring me back in. What did I just say?
By changing our words, it gives us some hope.
Yeah. So
We're using the word association now.
time. Yeah.
Time.
So don't worry. I know you keep making this mistake, but relationships take time instead of relationships take work. Sometimes work can sometimes can sound thinking about it and relating it to work life. It can sound too
It's
formal.
exhausting. Yes, it's exhausting just talking about it. Yes, but and then I like, let's go even deeper. Relationships are time. Time indeed makes the relationship. Without time, you have no relationship. That's solid. That's a solid square. You can't even rock off that. You can't get knocked off that. Not all relationships are indeed work, but all the relationships are time. Because some people work at their relationships for years and they still fall apart. So we can't rock with work. Work is not solid.
See, the thing with time is time doesn't have a stop destination. Also,
Exactly.
time is time.
It is what you
Time
make
is time. Time is time as long that time is time as long as there is time.
it. And there's always gonna be time.
There's always going to be time.
Listen, Nathan, except for the folks on stereo, shout out to stereo, who don't believe that time exists. And we're not gonna go
Oh, jeez.
there.
Okay.
Okay. We know who you are and we love you just the way you are.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the next part is I want to go to is leadership.
Okay.
Now some would say, well, this goes into gender roles. And Mo, shout out to Mo if you listen, if you got this from Mo, because I know she wants to talk about gender roles.
Ah.
But leadership
But it,
is,
it doesn't have to go into gender roles. That's a word association as well.
I, yeah, and this is what I've used many of times on stereo to make it
Yeah, you have.
to make it where I've said, and this is a good word association. I think instead of saying, I'm writing this down. Instead of saying I am the man of the house, right?
Okay.
You could say I am the head, right? I'm the head, and and you are the neck. I'll let that sink in for a bit while I'm writing. Because when you really think about it, um, I can't move my head unless my neck allows me to. My neck can't move if my head doesn't want to move. Right now, I'm trying to move my head left to right, and what's happening is my neck's getting a bit tense. And what you're gonna get is you're gonna go from harmony, disharmony, and you're gonna stay there. So, and again, it goes back up to teamwork because there is no supreme person that says, right, because I said this, Faith, this is what you've got to do. There's teamwork. Most men don't want to admit to that. But I believe if you want to have a successful relationship, work life, you have to learn to let people play their role and correct you when you need to be corrected, and let's move on together. That's honestly how I see it. So yeah, if I want to move somewhere, hopefully my neck is going to allow me to move. But that relationship, that communication needs to be there. The adaptability needs
Mm-hmm.
to be there. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Now the sentence you gave was I no, I agree. At first, I didn't know where you were going with the head and neck part. I was like, oh Lord, but
Most
then
people don't. It's very creative though, isn't it?
but yeah, it worked out good because you had a good. I mean, it's something everybody can relate to. Um, and the thing about the neck to make it more seem even more valuable because
Not saying that
perception
it's not. It's very
perception
important.
perception of value, one's the way they think about their value often. Um, oh, it's my glasses. It looks funny. Is that my glasses? Look like there's like something on my eye right there.
No,
You
I
see
don't.
it? Okay.
No.
Anyways, random. Um, perception. One's perception of how valuable they are has a lot to do with how they receive examples, like you said, constructive criticism, all of that stuff. So, thing about the neck is, if I in school it's vague, but I think somebody had said something like there's two vertebrae that actually allow your neck to turn. If anything happens to those two vertebrae, you're out of luck. That's why car accidents are so major and certain accidents are so major and they always want you to protect your head because if it snaps just the wrong way, there's it doesn't matter how good your communication is, you're over.
Well,
So you could
if
apply that to a relationship too.
I mean, if you want to make this next sound even more better, because it really is, it's very important. Um, the neck actually makes you walk correctly. Now, if my neck is always like this to the right, and my neck, which is the woman, is not allowing me as I'm walking to face forwards, and I've tried this before. If you can't walk straight, you can't walk straight. You
Because your
will,
because your perception is messed up. Because your eyes are only stuck in certain
yeah,
directions.
because the neck is making me look somewhere else.
So your neck, oh, that's good. So your neck is
So
controlling your perception. You
right,
can't even see right
right,
without the knee.
and sometimes the woman can make us men perception look totally different.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I like
it
it.
really can, and I would say vice versa, because now if the head chooses to close its eyes, the neck can't do anything.
Wait, what? No, it can. But
The
oh,
the
I see
neck
what you meant about
the neck can't
perception.
force, yeah, the neck can't force the head to open its eyes. If it wants to, it can walk straight into a wall and actually destroy both of you guys together.
Lord have mercy. You need to post it. You need to talk about this on stereo so more people can hear and see that mistake. I don't think everybody's really comprehending what you're saying right
Yeah,
now. On the other,
and you've got a point. Give me a second,
take your time.
because what I'm gonna do is actually you've got, I don't know why I didn't think about this. I'm gonna put this on stereo. I'm just gonna leave it open.
Oh, so they can hear it live.
Yeah. So because
I like all your examples. That's so good. I'm totally gonna like. We need to talk about that and like run with that point for like another talk too. We could do like a whole. You could totally just keep running with that, but it's so
yeah, because the neck,
because it's all about relationships and teamwork. That's what you're talking
right,
about.
it's teamwork, and it's so important. It
Hmm.
really is so important. I mean, like the neck can change your perception. Adam and Eve. Eve was the one that convinced Adam to eat the apple.
At least that's what they say.
But
Crickets.
but you must admit, ladies do have a way of changing your
I can't speak for all
perceptions.
ladies.
Most, I would say most,
I don't know nothing about it.
especially if you're in a
My name
relationship.
ain't
No, no,
in it, and I
no.
ain't in it.
If you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, and you really care about that person, you have communication. I mean, you really do care about the teamwork.
Okay,
You're more open to change, even if you can't see the next perception.
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
And if the man, the head, wants to be stupid,
Because
he
that's
can
where the brain is.
he can switch off his mind and do something completely different, and that can mess up the neck. That can lead to, oh Lord,
Paralyzation.
paralyzation.
And then it's
But,
over for both of y'all, really.
and then from you two working together,
That's not salvageable.
now you've affected the whole body.
I think you brought all of that home. I think you were like a preacher. You started the sermon, you took us through, and then you went back at the. Yeah, that was nice. Nicely done. It's offering time. No, I'm just playing.
And then, oh, don't do that.
I'm just kidding.
And then the last part. Sorry for going on for so long. The
Mhm.
last part, attention to detail. Attention to detail. Um, you need that in the workplace. You can't, if you're always missing things, they're gonna pull up on it. And what they tend to do is, if we don't have a good enough reason, I mean, I know people do expect people to make mistakes, but if you're always making the same mistake every day, I mean every day, what they tend to do is pull you up on it or have a meeting about it. Attention to detail. If you don't have attention to detail, it can damage the teamwork. It can affect the leadership. It can affect problem solving. If you can't problem solve, if you're not paying attention to detail, you can't solve the problem, because your current problem is you can't pay attention to detail. It just doesn't work with you.
That's the okay, but that goes into, is there really a problem though?
For the company, yeah.
Attention to detail, the detail of
For the company. I
the
haven't gotten into
detail.
relationships yet, but
But
for the
no,
company.
in the relationships too, it like that question. I
I would
felt like
say, is it really a problem though? Is see, because what you could say is, I notice you, why is and I've been faulted on this before. I've said, and this comes into word association. I've said, but why do you keep missing this?
yeah, you did. Okay.
And I could say, can you help me understand why this doesn't come to your mind to watch out for this?
I think you had said something like that to me once, and I said something like, "It. Why do you assume that it didn't come to my mind?" I put it back on you with like, why does your mind go? Why does your mind go there? And then you were able, if I remember the conversation correctly, because it got a little heated for a hot minute. And what you did was either opened your mind to where you could explain the question.
I remember. Yep, yep,
You
yep, yep, yep.
gave more context. And at that moment, everybody got it. And we were like, oh, well, you should have just said it that way. But the way you were asking it, you really did want a straight answer. And you were getting frustrated because people weren't answering you. And it was like, but I knew that I could tell that there was something behind your question. So, like you said, word association, it goes to both parties. It's not always the person who's speaking that's wrong. It's not always the person who's listening that's wrong. But like you said about the repair, sometimes we have to sit with things and bounce questions off of each other to get a little deeper as to, but why are you curious about it though? Why are you stuck there? Why do you continue to ask this question 4 times when three people have answered you? Are you not getting the answer you want? And then once you go into, well, who wouldn't think that way? And then we're like, oh, you think that way. And now we're able to answer you. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And that was kind of cool, a cool experience. I remember it. It was positive, but it took us, I remember it took us a minute. It took us a whole minute because I was at an appointment and I was listening. I don't think I was on the panel. I was listening and then you brought me up later, but I had listened for a long time and you were really trying to get an answer and nobody was answering you. So I felt your frustration. But when I got up, I was like, guys, you're not listening. As a listener, this is what he's trying to say. And then I was like, right. And then you were able to explain it, and then everybody accepted your questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, but see what that was emotion. A lot of people who were emotional and they weren't answering you because they were emotional.
Yeah, sometimes you have to separate
They
your
can't be
emotion
logical anymore.
from
Somebody had to come. That's what we were saying earlier about why do you walk away in a relationship, at the workplace? Why do you walk away and come back? That's what sometimes you have to let stuff get organic again because it's been too strategic for too long and everybody's turned off. And we have to like all take 10 seconds and deep breathe.
See, this is why I just dropped my pen. But this is why this all works very well.
Okay.
Because you've got the, now let's go back up, attention to detail,
Mm-hmm.
leadership,
Attention to detail.
creativity, teamwork, problem solving,
Exactly.
adaptability, communication,
Mm-hmm.
time management. And with time management, I said harmony, disharmony, repair. I think, oh, word association.
Yeah, I like threw that in there on one of the points. But
You threw that somewhere in the middle.
yeah, it can go with all of them, I guess.
Um, I need to write this down because I'm going to forget that word. Because we, without realizing it, we do that all the time. When, especially on stereo, when we're trying to, when we are trying to explain things differently for people,
Yes.
we're very good at letting them understand. Um,
Make it make
because
sense.
a lot, yeah, like what you say, make it make sense. So, word, I'm gonna write this down. Word association, guys. I'm gonna say, can I say word association is making it make sense? Um,
Yep. That's what people want at the end of the day, right?
yeah,
They really do want to understand most of the time. But you got to learn which language they speak. That's the time
It's
management. You
about,
gotta
yeah.
invest in it.
Word association is kind of translating what we know into something that you can understand in your own way.
Which is translating, which has to do with language, body language, verbal or nonverbal. Which environment are we in? Family, at work. What do I need to apply to this? That's based on, like
Yeah,
you said, social skills, which is or what you talk about. Is I love how you brought it all together. It makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Hmm.
So if I could put it in a nutshell, then
Okay.
guys, we've kind of created our, it is like a formula, I guess, of
We're brilliant. Thank you.
words, soft skills that will honestly help family, work, and relationships in terms of intentional dating to marriage.
Hmm.
Um, and again, it's probably best to watch the communication video first, then YouTube, and then come to this. I think I've actually done it in order properly without even realizing it, but I think that that really goes well. Um, wow, this is good. Wow, Faith, is there anything you want to say? Because I don't think we need to prolong it than it needs to be. I think we've really wrapped up nicely.
Yeah, all the points from what you had mentioned, I think you hit, and then you gave it good examples too. So that really made it understandable.
Okay, all right. Um, we had a few viewers on here. We didn't. I'm gonna check what we really had, but um, let me end that on stereo. Okay. No, thank you, Faith. Stay there though. I'm gonna end the stream for these guys because we are done. But
Okay.
I'll stay
All right.
there. I'll talk to you on here. Thanks guys for tuning in. Um, if you are seeing this video late, this video will be up for 30 days, and then it will expire. Um, but so share it in the meantime. Comment. I should see the comments on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Our tags are at the bottom. Um, yeah. Was there anything you wanted to say, Faith, or you good?
This was good. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
No, it's all right. We'll definitely do it again next time. All right, Twitter people. See you later.
Later.